Day 3 as someone who makes ridiculous cakes for a living and films it all for content. So I swapped out of my outside shoes and went into my inside shoes, had a drink of coffee and tried to muster up the courage to get on with the day because it's my worst job, which is cleaning the shed ready for a new project. I also had to empty out the dishwasher, which I should have done last week, but because I'd put black food colouring into it, it had dyed everything black. So Nick went up the house to wash those dishes. Tip for anyone getting into cake decorating, never put black powder food colouring anywhere near your dishwasher. So once I'd cleaned down all of the sides, it was time to put up my inspiration pic for my latest cake project. And then I set about making the frame. And while I did that, Nick looked up how I was going to make this cake actually shoot water, but that's his problem now, not mine. Then I swapped from my outside shoes to my inside shoes because it was time for lunch, and today we just had beans on toast, nice British classic lunch. No comment on how many beans I had on there. There was only half a tin in the fridge. Then I covered the cake board in the vinyl wrap that we have, and then this is ever so satisfying, so I thought I'd show you. Cut out the holes ready for the frame. Realised that I hadn't changed my shoes, which is just the bane of my existence, so I swapped from my outside shoes into my inside shoes, and I set about stacking up the cake. It is a toffee sponge with a vanilla buttercream, and I stacked it all up to make the general shape of Stitch, and then I carved it out to get the actual shape of Stitch, where I realised I'd forgot to put my sticker on the board, so I cleaned a little corner off and stuck that on, and then I removed all of the cake scraps from the board and popped them in a bowl, which can go in the kids' lunch boxes, and then I covered the whole cake in chocolate ganache, and then cover the whole thing in cling film to keep it fresh before I can work on it tomorrow. And that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. Tune in for episode 4.